Let's do it.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Few Good Movies. I'm Brendan Murphy.
I'm Matthew Brown.
And this week, we are continuing our coverage of the Ocean's Trilogy with Ocean's 12. And Matt, this is your first time seeing Ocean's 12, maybe? Have you ever seen it before we did this?
I saw it before. I think I saw it in like 2007. I mean, I was like 10, 11 years old at that point. So, I mean, It didn't have like very much of an impression on me.
Mm-hmm.
But then, yeah, it was like a new experience because it had been so long. So, I'm hooked. I watched it several times.
Dude, how do you feel now that you've watched it as a guy in your 20s?
Like I said, it honestly, it's climbing. It's a top film for me all of a sudden. It's a film I'm going to start recommending to people very soon because there's
a lot going on in this movie.
Dude, the cinematography, which is far different from the first one, and I definitely want to talk about because
we will.
It felt so different, but it was weird because the first time I watched it, it almost threw me off because I was comparing it to the first one.
Yeah.
But then, like I said, by the time second, third run through a little bit, I'm like, this is kind of comforting. I like this. I almost prefer this.
Yeah.
And I
think with how different it is, that's why this movie threw so many people off. Because, like, when this came out, everyone was not digging it at all. They were all like, what is this? We want you guys to go back to Vegas. This is too different for us. We don't like this. And honestly, that's what makes it so great for me is that it's so insanely different from the first one.
It's the same world, but it's a completely different film, but it's like about the same thing. It's very impressive to pull off. And then to do it with the cast of people that you have. And oh man, I don't even know where to begin, to be honest. Well, I want to talk about that opening shot, right? It was funny. Third time through, Brad Pitt, going through that opening shot, it was comforting at that point. Seeing him sweaty and drinking out of his little martini glass, all of a sudden I was like, I'll phrase you. I felt like I was in good hands. I was like, here we go. I was like, we're back. We're back together.
See, it's funny you find it comforting because after watching it again and after watching it so close to watching the first one again, I feel like this movie, because we were talking about how the first movie is so comforting, it's so cool, you can just sit back, relax, you know you're in good hands, everything like that. When I watched it this time, I was like, see, this is more that Uncut Gems vibe where they're just going crazy, everything's moving all the time, everyone's talking all the time, there's so much going on that, like, at the halfway mark, I was like, geez, I need a break. I need this to slow down for like a second. Everyone's talking over each other. Like, one of the things, and we can go ahead and talk about the cinematography a little bit right now, but you compare the briefing scene for the heist in Ocean's 11 to the one in here when they're talking about going to steal the document or whatever they're going to steal from the blind guy.
The first stock or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you watch the one in Ocean's 11, it's very still, like usual coverage for a scene, like we're going to put the camera here, we're going to let it roll, we're going to put the camera over here, we're going to let it roll, we're not going to do too much, we'll just make cuts, all that. The camera does not stop moving in this one. It's cutting from person to person every time, like it's shaky cam, like, which you don't really get any of in the first one, I feel like.
Not at all, no. You get a much more like cinematic quality in terms of like the camera movements. Everything's super smooth and it's kind of, everything's like real perfect. I like to say.
Like the first one, like we were talking about in an episode about that, is a very like straight up kind of classical movie, and that's what it's trying to do.
Definitely.
This movie is trying to throw all of that out of the window.
Yeah, for 100%, dude. It went 180 degrees and was like, let's take what we did and absolutely give you a new way to look at it.
Yeah. Like, let's take half of our cast and put them in jail for the last half of the movie. Like, Clooney, Pitt, we don't need them. Get them out of here. Reiner, Gould, we don't need any of them. Let's just Damon, Cheadle, Khan, that's all we need.
I love the people that they picked to stick around.
Right?
It wouldn't have worked without it being that exact dynamic. The dynamic that they chose with Khan and Damon and name the other ones for me, please.
Cheadle.
Cheadle, dude. And then throwing in Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm.
It was so fun to watch these actors work.
Oh, absolutely.
I couldn't stop smiling and laughing. I felt like I was in, specifically when we're talking about that crazy chaotic scene that we'll get to. I felt like I was in that room. I was in there experiencing that. I was like, this is wild. I was like, there's no way there's just no way it's happening right now.
Well, it's trying to take a much more natural kind of look into this world. Because, like, in the first one, like we're saying, it's classical. Like, everyone's just, like, says their line, next person says their line, next person says their line. Yeah. This one, everyone's, like, interrupting each other. Everyone's talking over each other. 2 lines are being said at once. Like, one of my favorite moments in the movie, and I think sums up what's great about this, like, trilogy, just all-encompassing, is, like, when Ruben asks, who's that guy on the $100 bill? And every single person in the room has a joke response. It's like John Travolta, Adams, like, it's all at the same time. Like, it's just, that's why I think when we talked about 11, that's why I had that take of just kind of like, these guys are, like, kind of fighting for spot number 1. Like, they're all competing with each other a little bit to have, like, the best line or the best moment in the scene.
Okay. I know, I get what you're saying 100%. Yeah, like, everyone in the first one, not that it was happening on purpose, but yet everyone was looking to have, like, that line that hit home the best. Like that, oh, that was the one line. That was the one line.
Yeah.
But in this one, it felt like 10, 11 people who know each other really well, who were all trying to have a conversation, like a family having a conversation. They'd all be, no one's really listening to each other. They're just talking. They're laughing. Brad Pitt eating, hanging out. They're just like, that's a terrible idea. They all start laughing at him.
Yeah.
It's so
full of energy. Like,
yeah, it's a good way to put it.
Yeah. So you really want to talk about this opening shot. Is there anything else you want to say about it? Or was that pretty much it, just that, like, you were in good hands with it?
It was that, yeah, it was being in good hands and just watching right away, just watching Brad Pitt just be as smooth as can be, just coming in, checking the books out. Goes, and I love how you get this real quick pull in of them, like, kissing and having this little conversation. And it's just this fun little intimate moment. You're like, okay, what's going to happen here? And then, man, all of a sudden she starts talking about, there's a shoe with an indenture, and he's looking right at it, and he tucks it, and then he goes to the bathroom. And then the acting is so pure to just watch him have this little meltdown.
Yeah.
Like, be Rusty. And for me, I love how quickly Rusty makes decisions. Rusty, he compartmentalizes so well. He knows he makes a decision. Yeah. He's like, look, there's not even feelings to think about. Because of what is being said out there, I have one choice. Close this door and I'm out of here. And it just, for that to be what happens before the opening credits start.
Yeah.
God, dude, I was so hooked. It was wild.
Yeah. No, it's like a great bit to start the movie off of, because usually we don't see Rusty that flustered or on his heels. Yes. And to see what he does when that happens, which is just jump out the fucking window. I'm out of here. It's a great way to open this movie, because also I think this movie is much more about Rusty than Danny Ocean. Like,
without a doubt. Without a doubt. This one, if Ocean's 11 was Danny Ocean's love story, Ocean's 12 is Rusty's love story.
Yeah, absolutely.
For me, definitely.
Which, let's go ahead and talk about that a little bit. Catherine Zeta-Jones, my God, she's great in this movie.
That's fantastic.
And, like, the chemistry those two have, like, when they don't speak too much in the movie, but just those, like, little snippets of flashbacks when they were first having their relationship, like, you just feel it. Like, you're in.
You know, when I was watching those, that you definitely could feel it, because I was literally, I'm not even trying to be corny, but I started thinking about my girlfriend all of a sudden. I was like, damn, I remember having these moments and getting a little warm feeling inside me. I'm like, wait a second. I'm watching Catherine Zeta-Jones and Brad Pitt. Hold on, this isn't really happening, but oh man. And I love the introduction of how she's like, yeah, I saw you were getting chased by the police yesterday. And that little flashback of him running.
Yeah. And then he's just like, nah, that couldn't have been me. Not me at all. Like,
one of my favorite bits from it is while they're showing the flashback, and she's like, yeah, you were running for them. He says, I guess that says something about the police. It's real subtle, but he says it, and I busted up laughing, just like, oh man, Rusty's just the coolest guy under pressure in pretty much every situation.
100%.
Who the hell doesn't want to be Rusty?
Oh, everybody wants to be Rusty.
Dude, Rusty for president 2020.
He looks like Brad Pitt, first off. That's a plus.
Mm-hmm.
Always knows what to say, is the smartest guy in the room usually.
Best connection.
Like, yeah. Veins as cold as ice.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he doesn't miss.
No.
He doesn't miss.
He only gets flustered a couple times. It's Catherine Zeta-Jones that has his number. That's the only person who can rattle him.
Mm-hmm, definitely.
Like, lifts his phone off of him, like, everything. And that's also just a fun relationship to have. When you have that relationship with Julia Roberts and George Clooney in the first one, you know, it's that thing where, like, she's from afar. She's more of, like, not a damsel in distress, but she's kind of, like, unfortunately, she's kind of pushed to be, like, this kind of trophy. Like, that's what Danny wins in the end, is he gets to go back to Tess.
Yeah.
In this movie, to have the two romantic leads kind of be at each other's throats, going back and forth with each other and chasing each other,
mm-hmm.
Like, that's such a great decision.
It definitely made it fun to the dynamic between them was really fun to explore and watch it unfold, to see how, like, mm-hmm. how well these two people actually knew each other. Yeah. That's what I enjoyed. Like, you really find out that, wow, this was, like, actually a really deep connection. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
For lack of that, it really is.
No, I got you. And I mean, also just how on equal footing they are, because she knows as much, if not more, than Rusty does about all the stuff that's been going on in the thieving world. She knows how to crack all these people. She knows she is just as good as her job as all the people in Ocean's 11 are at stealing stuff.
Definitely. So, she even slips Rusty's phone out of his pocket.
Yeah.
And he can't believe it. He's like, damn, she got me.
Like, when we talked about the first one, we were kind of like, you know, the stakes aren't that high. The villain isn't, like, the scariest thing. Like, obviously, Andy Garcia is, like, a pretty decent villain, but you never feel like he has all the cards or, like, that he can get over on the crew. Definitely. Like, Catherine Zeta-Jones can go toe-to-toe with these guys.
Did.
Yeah. I mean, literally, she gets him in the end, pretty much, except for the fact that they're Ocean's 11, so they're going to, like, find a way to win at the end of the day. So one of the things I want to talk about here, while we're talking about the crew, the montage of them getting together again and Andy Garcia visiting each and every one of them is just as good as them getting together in the first one, if not better.
If not better, exactly. It's so funny how he just – I love the decision of the idea of showing them get back together mm-hmm. is Andy Garcia showing up and confronting everyone like, yeah, I found you.
It's like, where's my fucking money?
Yeah, and just since we're on this, can we talk about the Casey Affleck Scott Conn scene when they get reintroduced?
Oh, for sure. I love that scene.
Dude, it might be the funniest part of the movie in terms of just like a little bit. When Casey Affleck goes down that list of people and he's like, your new girlfriend, and then they put it on Scott Conn.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there and they just don't say his name.
He just like gives a little nod, just like, and he's like, I have something to say. That's the one thing that upsets me is that I wanted to hear what Scott Conn had to say at that dinner.
Yeah, he taps on the glass and then I love how he gets hit in the chin and he's like, oh no.
Shit.
Yeah. That moment, and it's funny because it's all played through just Scott Conn's emotions, like not emotions, but reactions.
Yeah.
But, oh, dude, it's incredible. That is the funniest, like, in terms of just one actor and not like a whole scene. That little bit right there by Scott Conn, man, is absolutely hilarious.
Oh, for sure. And I feel like I got to talk a little bit about the buzz cuts in this movie while we're talking about Scott Conn.
Okay.
Hitt and Conn are pulling that shit off. Looks real good. Solid choice by both actors to go with the buzz cut. Looks great.
God, man. Hey, you know, that was what, 2005 when this came out?
2004.
Dude, buzz cuts were in back then. That was solid. I had a buzz cut back then. I had one in high school, dude. I wanted to be Brad Pitt back then.
I mean, who doesn't? I mean, we've already said it before. Like, every man wants to be Brad Pitt.
Yeah, dude. What?
Yeah. The best. I mean, you got I love how we get to see how everyone is spending their time and their money with it. Like, I love that Frank has the nail salon. I love that the amazing Yen has just like got this like huge house. Photographer. He's just doing nothing but partying.
He's a baller. He's
all
a
day long.
gangster.
Yeah.
He wears baggy clothes. The amazing Yen is. I love the character choices they gave him in the second one. Just who he becomes is hilarious.
For sure. Well, I mean, they do a lot of good stuff with him. I mean, they do a little bit more with the relationship between him and Rusty. I love how, same in the first movie, how like whenever Yen says something, Brad Pitt just has like a little reaction to it every time. Like when they're in the warehouse discussing like how they're gonna get Benedict back his money, he's just like Yen says something. It's just like, oh, but it's a nice house. And it's just like,
and then there's no explanation. They just move on. They're all just like, okay.
Yeah,
that's my favorite.
It's so good. Livingston Dell is doing stand-up comedy poorly.
Dude, that I almost spit my water out when I was watching him. He was like, my mother, and he just whips out the thing. You're like, what the hell? And then they just hard cut it, and he was just like, he's like, I kept you up there. You were just so funny.
Thanks for letting me finish.
Yeah.
What can I say? You're a funny guy.
Wow.
Also, we got Carl Reiner is doing basically Lyman Zerga with a different accent, just all around the world now, eating at fancy restaurants, maxing out his credit cards. Like, good for him. Good for Carl Reiner. Ruben's checking out some, trying to get some sage advice from a, why am I blanking on what they're called?
Palm reader or whatever, right?
Yeah, palm reader. Yeah. Danny is very bored at home. You can see it in his eyes. He wants to be bragging about the fact that he was a thief and that he like robbed 3 casinos at once, but he can't because he's like trying to live a new life with Tess. And Rusty running a hotel with Topher Grace still in it, which we did not talk about Topher Grace in the first one.
Yeah.
I love that he keeps popping up in these movies.
These little one scene bits are so great with Topher.
Yeah. It's just like, I fucking love how he comes into the room. It's all trashed. He's like, come on, man. You didn't have to go Frankie Muniz on me. Like, the hotel business is not going well for Rusty. He's having like the same problems as Danny, where it's just like, I can't hack normal life. It's not working. Trying to think, who else we got? Are we missing anybody? Damon. We got Damon. He's just like, he's still worried about, he doesn't want his mom and dad finding out what he's doing or that he's not doing well. He's still trying to get out of the shadow, out of all of this. He's still trying to like prove himself.
Definitely.
Like, it's all fun and everything, but like what's great about it is that it's just like, okay, here's what these characters are going to go through for the rest of the movie. Here's where they're at. Here's where they're, and you know where they need to go, kind of deal. And dude, one of my favorite scenes in the movie is them just in the warehouse bullshitting about like what's going to happen. Like
when they're all in there at the beginning talking about the money and stuff and how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
It's a fun scene, definitely. I love when Ruben, when he talks about, they're like, so who has 19 million? And then he raises his hand.
Yeah.
And then he talks about the stock market. And they just go through him on this one shot.
You think?
He's like, go ahead.
No, it's just like, you think that the stock market is some unknowable thing? You just got to read the signs. You didn't see the signs? I saw the signs.
Dude, when they push in and he just goes, I saw the signs. Like, let's go. I get so worked up. I was like, please.
Yeah. See, I think you're talking, I don't know what I could say is what I think is the funniest moment in the movie, but in the running for me is how the first thing they do when they all get in the room is like, why did you tell me that your wife, why is Terry Benedict calling us Ocean's 11?
Yeah, they're pissed.
I'm a private contractor.
He's like, I thought we just all agreed upon this being the Benedict job, so I thought we were doing the Benedict job. Like,
it was a collaboration. That moniker is insulting.
Yeah.
Casey Affleck is just like, it just hurts. Like, we were there. We all agreed to call it the Benedict job. I feel like we were all on the same page on that. Like,
they're like a bunch of grown kids just playing and just casually robbing the most just the biggest robbery jobs in the world.
They're all so fucking petty about it. Like, I love that shit. It's great. And the same thing when they're, like, going around telling each other how much they've spent and everything like that. Like how Scott Conn is just like, I owe 14, and Casey's just like, you have all but $5 million left. Like, still, they just, like, can't help. But they're all in trouble. They all need each other's help to just, like, just keep busting each other's balls.
Mm-hmm.
Man, it's just so great to see these people together in a room again. Like, one of the main complaints people were talking about when it came out was like, you know, it sure looked like these guys all had fun, but I didn't. I was like, how could you not have fun watching these guys in a room together? Like, their interplay is so fun every single time. Like, whenever you get, like, the whole group in a room, it's one of the best scenes in the movie.
It really is. It's so, and to be able to have 11, 12, 13 actors in a room, big actors like that, and get them in the room and get them to have that kind of flow with each other, and to have a scene so well worked out it gets everyone involved like that. Dude, this is why I'm saying this movie, like, meant so much to me, and all of a sudden that's such a huge impression, because, like, comparing it to the first one, like, so the first one was like, here's the way I feel like. The first one was like, you know, you got this good script. All right, let's get all these actors together and let's just make this thing clean, and they're just going to boom, boom, boom. We're just going to hit it. And then in 12, it was like, let's get together and play around and see what we can make happen and get something magical going on. And then that's what started happening. And that's why these scenes had such stronger impacts, because it was everything was so natural and so fun. And you could see it in the characters and how you could tell that was an enjoyable thing for them to do. It was just so, I always draw back to, like, okay, I'm thinking about if I was in class. Mm-hmm. If I saw that scene played out, I mean, obviously these guys are professionals, so they're doing stuff better than anything I'm seeing in my class. But that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, if I would have saw anything like that, I'd be like, these are professionals. These are like, you guys, is anybody paying attention? Like, this is the most flawless. It's so, like I said, they're flexing those acting chops, dude. And I get so excited watching it. Yeah, it's you've got some of the best actors in the primes of their careers, all working together and making some fantastic scenes, man. Yeah. Things that, oh man, I could go on and on.
For sure. I mean, obviously, you're right. Like, it's kind of the peak for a lot of them. Like, they're all coming off of Ocean's 11, which was a huge hit. Everybody loved it. Everyone's a big fan. Like, in between that, like, Matt Damon becomes Jason Bourne.
Yeah, dude.
Like, 2 Bourne movies come out in between Ocean's 11 and Ocean's 12. And the fact that he's able to go from that persona of Jason Bourne and then go right back to Linus is amazing.
You can see the difference, though. Matt Damon is a much improved actor in the second one. I'm not saying he was bad in the first one by any means, but he is sharp in Ocean's 12. Like, they're going back to that Julia Roberts scene. Just Matt Damon steals the scenes a few times, and not even trying to, but just like you just watch and you're like, this guy's a star. This guy, holy shit, he's a powerhouse.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also that thing where this movie gives him so much more to do.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like for the most part, everyone's on pretty equal footing in 11. Like, obviously, Clooney and Pitt get most of the movie to kind of take over. But, like, yeah, man, this movie ebbs and flows, like, who it focuses on, who's getting the spotlight. And Damon, like, has a lot of the spotlight on him. And the fact that, like, he rises to the challenge and pulls it off, especially when this is a character you have to kind of go in with no ego, because this is a guy who's so insecure.
Yeah.
About, like, dude, okay, I'm happy we're having the Damon conversation now, because holy shit, he's good in this movie.
Yeah.
But, like, I love the scene when he goes up to Rusty in the plane. He's just like, you know, I watched you and Danny real closely last time, and I really want to take, like, a more central role. Like, can I come to the sit down with you guys? And Rusty's like, you're not ready. If you think you're ready, we can do this, but you have to be sure. And he's just like, yeah, I'm sure. We can do this. Yeah. Like, he's so nervous going over. Mm-hmm. Like, at the end, he ends it with just like, you know, I wasn't going to come over here.
Yeah, he almost didn't come over.
And it's just like
He gives
Rusty's
him
just
the
like,
thumbs up. He's like,
yeah, yeah, and then Rusty's like, then I'd still be sleeping.
yeah,
Like,
it's
I love how, like, the dynamic is that Matt Damon is really trying to prove himself in this movie is that he belongs in the crew, that he deserves to have movie star status like Clooney and Pitt. And the fact that like, his main role in this movie is just get fucked with the whole time. Like, Danny and Rusty just like, how can we like fuck with Linus a little bit today?
mm,
Like, man, the Matsui scene?
hilarious.
Oh my God.
Hilarious.
Oh, holy shit.
When they hold on Matt Damon and he doesn't know what to say and he just,
The stars.
dude, yeah, and I laughed the whole time. It was brilliant, and it's such a perfect example of less is more.
Yeah.
He didn't say anything, and it was the funniest shit I've ever seen. He was just, and dude, I couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah, well, it's just like also a thing where you forget, like, that acting mostly has to do, like, obviously there's all the line reading and everything, but you forget that you also have to be very expressive. Matt Damon in those like 5 minutes is using every muscle in his face to like make sure it's the funniest thing in the world. Like when Matsui tells a joke and Danny and Rusty just start cracking up laughing and Matt Damon just like doesn't know what to do. And he just starts going like,
yeah.
it's,
like,
it's insane. Or like when they ask him a fucking question and he doesn't know what to do, he looks at Rusty and Danny and he's just like
yeah, he just doesn't answer. He literally just doesn't. He just shits.
like how badly he fucks up immediately.
Dude, yeah, and they're just like come on, it's
and
so funny, man.
the fucking and talking about less is more. The fucking reaction on Clooney and Pitt's face through that whole scene is perfect.
They're studs, dude.
Oh, absolutely.
For me, it was when they were doing like that fake laugh. Yeah. I was like, what, dude? Oh man, I'm about to watch it again after this.
It's so good.
Right now. I'm putting it back on.
Yeah.
I tried to watch 13 right after, and I couldn't. I was like, no, I think I gotta watch this one again. I was like, yeah. I need some more of it.
It's so fucking good. And I gotta talk about when they get out of the bar or whatever after the Matsui scene. Another eligible contender for funniest thing in the movie. He's just like, I don't know what happened in there. What did I say?
Yeah.
You called his niece a whore. A very cheap
7 years
one.
old.
She's 7. Like, it's just...
It's so bizarre.
And the fact that it's just all of them fucking with him.
Yeah, literally. You come to find out, she was like, oh, she pulled the old loss of translation on you.
Loss of translation.
He's like, damn.
It's like, oh, god damn it. Like,
it's like, don't tell Dad. Don't tell Dad.
Yeah. Like, I love how they fucking... how he acts through this whole movie. Like, I love the role they give him. I love how well he pulls it off. I love how he's trying to be like Danny and Rusty so badly. Like, even when everyone gets rounded up at the last heist, he's the one who tries to be the new Danny. He's just like, let's run it again. Like, he's got the whole fist and everything like that. He's got the look and everything. Scott Constant's like, who died and made you Danny? And he's just like, no one. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and they're just like, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
yeah.
I just
I'm
upset.
And like how he's trying to second guess himself at every turn. Like, I love how when they're talking about how they're gonna break into the old guy's house, they're like, we're gonna do an Ahab with a piggyback. And he's like, Ahab with a piggyback? That's not real. That's not a thing, right? Like, the way he's just trying to find his footing this whole time.
You put on something that you mentioned to pay attention to, and it definitely comes to light way more in the second one, is this vernacular that they have.
Yeah.
Things they say to each other. That's like these sentences, and they never really like give you any sort of explanation about like what this language is, where it came from. But they just, there's little things that they all say. Like, perfect example is right there when Julia Roberts is on the phone with Danny, George Clooney.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, what does she say? She says like
The basement's flooded and the pilot lights out.
Yeah, and he just says, "Hang up now."
Yeah.
And it's just, it's like, where did this even come from? Because they hint at it a little bit towards the end of Ocean's 11. I feel like you see it a few times, but throughout 12, all of them do it at one point. I feel like where they'll say something where you realize if you're actually listening, you're like, damn, he didn't say really anything, but somehow they communicated so like flawlessly, you didn't even really question it. You were just like, oh, okay, yeah.
Well, it's just like when you get to that scene where it's just like Cheadle, Khan, and Damon like trying to figure out what to do.
Mhm.
They name off like 50, not 50, but like 5 or 6 different things that they could do, and they're just like, not enough people. Like one of the things that they like mentioned, like dumb heist name, and they're like, we can't train a cat soon enough, and we don't have enough people. Like it's just like, what are these things? I would love to have what they are explained to me so I could get in on the joke. Like this is a movie that is so unconcerned with being the same kind of crowd pleaser that 11 is. It's such a ballsy move for a huge studio movie, getting this cast back together again for this type of movie. It's crazy that this movie exists.
No, there's a lot of bold decisions in this one that weren't made at all in 11 with some of the cuts, some of the colors, just some of the acting choices, like some of the way they would like allow the scenes to go, just the jumping around that would happen. No, this was definitely, I think that's one of the things that really drew me in too, is I was like, this is not, you don't really see films like this. Like, I don't really know anything. It's crazy that this is something that's in the middle of a series because I can't really think of anything else to compare this to, not even 11. I haven't seen 13, not in recent memory enough to compare it like that. But you just, it's real unique. Ocean's 12 is a real gem. It's a real gem.
Yeah, like, I feel like this movie you get to get a lot more of Soderbergh doing his thing. Like the first one, obviously his touch is there. You can see it around every corner, like how he does things and everything. But this one, he like really is just like, every inch of this film is going to have my mark on it some way, shape, or form. Like people are going to know that I directed this movie. Like it's something like when, like School of Rock is a good example of like when a director who's known for a certain style of filmmaking, like Richard Linklater, you could barely tell that movie is directed by Richard Linklater. And then it's the same deal with like, you can still see it Soderbergh in 11, but like you really see him in 12.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it's like this weird blend of like an Indian studio movie in some of the best ways. Like you have all these shades of like Altman and Cassavetes with so much fucking going on. Like it's a miracle it exists just because like the first movie had to have done so well for Soderbergh to be able to make a movie like this.
Definitely.
Like it's almost like I feel like this is the movie that Soderbergh wanted to make the whole time, but Warner Brothers was just like, absolutely not. And then when 11 worked out, they were just like, okay, yeah, man, do whatever you want. We don't care.
I mean, I can't confirm that obviously, but I agree. I feel like that definitely. 11 feels like giving the studio what it wants.
Yeah.
12 feels like doing what he wanted to do.
It's literally like, and I don't think that's the case. I just think that, like, in his heart, like, this is the kind of movie he wants to be making.
I think it just worked out. Like, just one of those things where, like, because one was a success, they're like, you can do it again, but now you can do whatever you want. It's like, oh shit, I get a second shot at it. So like, let's take all the chances I can take.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the better cases of like a one for you, one for me kind of deal.
Okay.
Like, okay, I'll give you the like good classic story, Hollywood story, and I want to do it. That'll be fine. But next time, I'm coming back with a vengeance. Like, the way he just immediately is like, no, you're in a completely different movie. Like the way, like you're talking about like some of the clips. Like one of my favorite things in the movie is when, Brad Pitt is like first tailing Catherine Zeta-Jones. The movie goes to this like such unreal place with like the lighting and the color of the movie. Like you wouldn't see anything like that in 11. Like the whole screen is just kind of like, it just like turns red for some reason.
Yeah, like red orange tone. Yeah, it does that a couple times in the when you're in the hotel, and that was one of those feels. That's what made it again one of those things that certainly made it not feel like 11 at all. I was like, what is this? I was like. It was so cut and clean in 11. Now all of a sudden we got, And is it just because it was shot longer ago or something? But is it just like you see like the grain, the like little film grain that you see throughout the movie? Is that I'm gonna assume that that was a creative decision to add that because I feel like you could have shot that without that.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I mean the thing here too is that like this is like kind of early days of like digital like photography starting to be a thing.
Definitely, definitely.
And maybe that's even why Soderbergh is playing around with it so much, because Soderbergh is one of those guys who likes to tinker. Like, he shot, like, 2 of his last couple movies on iPhones. Like, he's a kind of editor who likes to, like, kind of fuck around with space-time. Like, this movie has so many of these flashbacks that are absolutely unannounced. Like, you'll have scenes with everyone's talking, it's Brad Pitt, Catherine Zeta-Jones, or whoever, and then it'll cut to 5 years ago with, like, no clue except for the fact that, like, hair is different or anything like that.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. And that's probably what it is. It's just like, I want to play around with some shit. They gave me a ton of money to make this movie. I'm going to make money back on it again because the first one was so successful. And I had this cast behind me, which it's crazy that he got the whole cast to like be in on it too. Like the fact that they were all game to go in and do this kind of movie. I mean, it's why you have Elliot Gould, who is like one of Robert Altman's like best tools that he used back in the 70s. Like, there's a reason you have those guys in the back so that you can do stuff like this. Yeah. Also, real quick, we should talk about that location. The European look of this movie is incredible.
It really is. I love it.
Like all the different cities they go to, like it's Amsterdam. Like they go to Rome. Like
Rome.
It's beautiful.
It was, and I've gone to Amsterdam too, and it was really cool to see that because it did. I mean, it had a. I mean, obviously those first shots they were actually in Amsterdam, but it has a super like the feel was. I mean, I've only been there once, so I'm no expert, but it was spot on. Like I was like, damn, I'm here. Like we're overseas now.
Mm-hmm.
I want to talk about this damn cinematography, man.
Okay, let's do it.
Let's
talk about it.
I love the choices of this one being shot so much more uptight. Almost all this movie is shot in tight frames, and you only get a couple people in the shot, and it's so much more intimate. And I think it fits too because in this movie, you get a lot more details about the inner workings of these people's lives. It becomes more about peeling the layers back from this, perfect crew that you had, and you start to find out some things about people. And I love how that's expressed through that. And just they make these choices of throughout the movie, there's these fast push-ins, and then they also pull out. And it's usually like one shot right after another. Like once one zooms in, you'll go to the next shot, and then it'll start pulling out like this. It was like doing this little like dance almost, like with the shots and the zooming in and pushing in, pulling out.
Yeah.
Pushing in, whatever, yeah.
I mean, they did that like 20 times in a row, and like they're all walking out of the prison to go into the dance. Like they're just like boom, boom, boom. Like this movie is just like dripping with style.
It's so. That's a really good point. It really has such a stylistic take. Like this is where I'm saying, like you don't see anything really like this. Like I really don't have one movie that I could even think to compare that looks like that. It might just be because I don't know enough films. I don't know, but it's super unique. Super unique.
Yeah, well, it's that kind of thing where it's just like only Soderbergh is gonna make a Soderbergh movie. Like if you watch like Traffic or something like that has a lot of the same kind of stuff.
Okay.
But yeah, man, he's a really interesting director, and like I said, like he's one of the few directors who is just as into editing as he is into directing.
Okay.
So I think that's why you have so many of those like kind of things that they're doing, like experimenting with just like, let's have like a thing where we just like push in on every person like once as they're coming out of the jail. Like who knows how they do that? Or just like we were talking about like with the way this movie like just looks in general. Like I can't think of another studio movie like this that looks anything like this.
Definitely.
Especially. Anything else about the cinematography?
That was like the main things I wanted to hit on was just how like just how tight the shots were. That was
Yeah.
that to me. That to me is much harder to pull off, shooting things uptight and close than going wide. And it's also just a creative choice. But I
think
don't
it's also
go ahead,
No,
please.
it's that thing where like I love how in the hotel scenes it is insanely claustrophobic. Like you
Yes.
think back to the first one, they're in Ruben's big old house. They're in the fucking penthouse suite at the Bellagio.
Yeah.
Like, there's all this space. And now that these guys are on the run, it's a great choice to be like, okay, we're gonna make everything seem just like super intense. Like they basically, what's crazy is they shoot the scenes at the hotel room where they're all talking like it's a fucking Bourne fight scene. Like fucking the camera's going all over the place. They're cutting 50 different times. Like it's crazy. Like who would shoot a dialogue scene like that where they're just like, and it's not like it's the super intense conversation. They're just like trying to figure out what to do. They're just like, they're having a board meeting essentially.
Dude, that's crazy. That's crazy. Cause like if you were to mute that and just watch that the way it was shot, you'd be like, oh, it's like an action scene or something.
Yeah.
And then you play it and you'd be like, I mean, it ended with him talking about I'm gonna take a shit on your foot. Like that was the end of the scene.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? They were just bullshitting. Like they didn't actually get a final solution even within the scene. They were just like kind of discussing.
No. They're just like, guys, we're fucked, aren't we? Yeah, we're kind of fucked. What are we gonna do? I don't know. What are we gonna do? We don't know. Are we like?
That's the theme of the whole movie. I love how it's like this 10 days till, and they basically waste like 9 days. Then the last one, they're just like, all right, well, let's just try this and this will work out. Like it wasn't, you know what I'm saying? Like the first things kind of fell through. Now I'm sure that they had some planning behind this because, you know, they're who they are, but it was funny how this one seems so much more disorganized.
Well, it's not even that. It's like, and I was telling you before you watched this when we were leading up, like what I love about this movie is that Warner Brothers was like, well, you just made a huge movie. We want a sequel, like immediately. And Steven Soderbergh was like, I don't know what the fuck to do with that. I just made a perfect movie. You want me to do it again?
Or yeah, with the same.
I can't do that. Yeah. This movie is a movie about making a sequel.
Yeah.
Like, they just like, I don't know what the fuck to do. We got to make more money than we did last time somehow. Like, I don't know how we top robbing 3 casinos. That seems kind of like you can't do that again. Mm-hmm. Like, and they can't even just like one of the main things is like we don't know what jobs to even do. Like, they got to go to Matsui and be like, he'll give us a job that gives us like $5 million or something like that. But like, nobody knows how to like get $190 million in a couple days.
Yeah.
Like they're scrambling. They're just like, what the fuck do we do? Like that's always great when a director's just like, what is the position I'm in right now? And that's what I'm gonna make the movie that I'm about to make.
Yeah, for sure.
Because there's this really good YouTuber, Patrick Willems, who pretty much talks about heist movies like they are all about making movies, like about getting a team together, problem solving when things go wrong, like, you know, trying to like trick people like into believing something and all that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And the fact that Soderbergh's magic trick is just like, yeah, I'm going to do the same thing, but it's about literally making a sequel. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah.
Pretty magical stuff, man.
It is.
I'm telling you, I'm going to watch it again and again. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but
yeah, it's an incredible movie.
Yeah, the movie is very serious.
Which, maybe we should start talking about how they finally get out of the pickle. So,
okay.
The other thing I think this movie was knocked against is because it's very convoluted in a way that the first one isn't. Like, all the stuff with, like, the Night Fox and Lamarck and the, like, European, like, police force and mm-hmm. Zeta Jones mm-hmm. and Benedict. Like, there's a lot going on. What did you think of all the Night Fox stuff?
I don't know. What do you mean? Like, I mean, I like the Night Fox. I was a fan of him. I don't want to say I was confused by his presence, but like, mm-hmm. it definitely, especially the first time watching it, it kind of threw me off at first.
Yeah.
Just like all of a sudden the gate, I was just like, who's the Night Fox? What's going on here? But Go ahead.
It's crazy they introduced him like 45 minutes into the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why it threw me off. And there was no like they didn't say anything about it. Just all of a sudden they're doing the job and the safe's already open. It says press play. And it's just like, the Night Fox. And I'm just like, well, who the hell is this? And then the cop, Catherine Zeta-Jones, she already knows who the Night Fox is. And she's like playbooking how it all played out when she's at the scene. It's, I really appreciate the Night Fox, though, in the second time.
Well, I think what I kind of meant is like, kind of everything involved with him like opens up the world a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like you get the Night Fox, you also get the stuff with like Lamarck and everything.
Okay.
Who's played by the great Albert Finney. Such a great cameo to have him come in kind of towards the end and everything like that. I love that he's like playing like Zeta Jones's father. Like I think that's a good like legend play to like come in and do like the greatest thief who's ever lived.
Yeah.
I love how like what's fun about the Night Fox for me is that he's literally just like it's all a game to him.
Yeah.
He literally like this guy said you were better than me. I fucking hate that. So now I'm gonna make your lives hell. Like, and I think it's that thing where I could be wrong because I'm talking out of my ass a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but it's that thing where like, so essentially, like I was saying before, like this is a studio movie with all that's also trying to be like have the like groove of like an independent movie or like a foreign movie or something like that, which I think is why they set it in Europe and everything. But like basically that the Night Fox coming in like, you guys think you can make movies better than us? Like we created all this shit. Like we did all that fucking like the French New Wave, all the editing tricks that like Soderbergh uses. It's like all tricks that people like Truffaut and Godard like used back in their day. Like, and he's just like, you can't fucking do that shit. I'm insulted you to even try. Mm-hmm. You know what? Okay. You know what? Yeah. You're going to have to come over to my home turf. You're going to have to pull it off. Okay? Like, that's an interesting choice for a villain. Once again, just like Soderbergh just being like, I'm going to use exactly what's going on in my life to just be like, and put it in the movie.
Just place him in there.
Yeah.
How great is the choreography piece with him going through all those laser.
The dance is so much fun.
It really is. Especially, I love how they foreshadow it too, and they just show him. You think he's just out doing like yoga or something. And you're like, oh, he's just relaxing. And then it plays out towards the end there, and he does that dance. And I love that they actually went through it, like the whole thing, and just I was thinking about the choreography of that. I was like, dude, that was probably one of the most complicated things to shoot. That took probably so long for him to learn all that and do all that.
Dude, Vincent Cassel, that is something that is asking a lot of him in a movie where no one else has to do anything that fucking hard. Like, good Lord. The physicality he fucking has. Like, that man, it's insane. And I love the little heel click at the end. I love a good heel click. And he's just like, yeah, I fucking did that shit.
Yeah, he's like,
get out of here.
I nailed it. I'm a boss.
I want to talk about the Danny Rusty relationship in this movie a little bit.
Okay.
The same way we did in the first one, just like how it's just still like it works, like it hums whenever those two are like just talking with each other. Like, I love that scene they have on the bridge where they're just like both having the same conversation they kind of had at the beginning of one. We're just like, Jesus, I'm bored. I need to rob stuff again. Like, I can't do this anymore. The hotel room scene where the Night Fox woke up Clooney too early, and he's just like, oh, that's just mean. Like,
he's like, how many shots of espresso have you had? He's like, 5.
Yeah. Fucking, they just watch French TV and drink for the rest of the night.
It's just the greatest friendship of like just con artists.
Yeah.
I just love their dynamic. They're they're just so in control of like everything. And you can just tell they're not really like, even though all this is going down, they're never really that stressed. I mean, except for Brad Pitt at the beginning where he's pretty stressed.
Yeah.
Other than that, you just always see these guys just pretty, they're just as cool as could be on it.
And Clooney gets to have some fun in that scene. I love the shot where he just like starts pouring the wine. He's nowhere near the glass. That's fun.
Dude, hilarious. Yeah, and he's like, it just pours it onto the ground, and neither one of them just care. They just keep sitting there.
Mm-hmm. And another one of my favorite lines of the movie. Let me see. Where is it? I want to make sure I get it right. But whenever he's just like, I guess they're watching like Happy Days or one of the older TV shows. Like the guy doing the voice on that character is incredible. Like that's like a great button to the scene. Just like the guy doing Potsy is unbelievable. Like,
And he's the guy, all right?
yeah. Just like because Rusty's trying to like get through all the things he's doing, and Danny's just like, I can't handle this right now. I'm just upset. I can't do this. And I guess this is when we talk about the Roberts scene.
Please.
I feel like
we can certainly do that.
When I talk about how it's crazy this movie exists, how do you think of a scene like that? Like,
it sounds, that's a scene that I feel like somebody made a joke and was like, dude, let's just have Julia Roberts pretend to be Julia Roberts. And they were like, that might work.
Yeah. I love how it's foreshadowed at the train station at the beginning of the movie where Matt Damon's just like, hey, can I ask you a question? Has anyone else ever noticed that Tess looks exactly like, don't ever ask me that question again. Don't ever ask it to anybody. Like, everyone knows, but like, that's not something you mention just because like, once again, it's like one of those rules you don't break in a movie. You can't do that. And the fact this movie is so nonchalantly just like, yeah, that's what we're going to do. That's a big set piece. We've taken our entire roster pretty much off the board. We've left you with 3 guys, and Julia Roberts is going to pretend to play someone playing Julia Roberts.
Mm-hmm. Out of this world, man. Yeah, it's out of, I don't know where you even concoct such an idea, but it is executed to perfection.
Mm-hmm. I mean,
go ahead.
It's so funny. The way it keeps getting more and more stressful, the way they just keep adding elements to it. Like, I feel like every 3 minutes something new is happening.
Yeah.
Like, okay, Tess is trying to play Julia Roberts. Okay, good. We're on the move. Now Bruce Willis is here. Okay, fine. The scene is calming down. Oh my God, now Carl Reiner's here. Okay, what's happening? Okay, now we're moving. We gotta go. Like, it's that same thing where it's just like this movie just keeps moving, like does not stop, keeps you on your toes in a way that first one doesn't.
Yeah, and then once we get into actually when Bruce Willis comes up into the hotel and like goes to like into her room, and then he comes in all suspicious, and I love Matt Damon right here. This is where he really gets me excited. He walks in, he grabs his hand, he's like, I forget his name. He says like Max something. He's like public relations, and he just jumps in. He just tries to start saving the day, and he's like, we're kind of coming off big off this baby news. So
we're looking to come off this baby think strong. Yeah. You know that golden statue on the mantle starts eyeing you a little funny, right? No, I wouldn't know what that's like. He's just like, oh, like it's just like it's just that thing where just like it's one of the like this movie is just like still going all in on trying to make you realize that Damon is out of his depth right now. He does not know what to do. He's freaking out. Like he's fangirling over Bruce Willis. I love when they're fucking walking up the steps and he's telling Bruce Willis like, you know, I knew you were dead in the sixth sense, like when you guys went to dinner and she didn't talk to you. Like I knew right then. Oh, and Bruce Willis is just like, oh, you figured it out, huh? Good for you. He's just like, you know, I still love the movie. It still worked for me, but like, yeah, I knew.
Dude, it is.
And the fact another guy in the museum makes the exact same like joke, it's just like, I knew. Just like, and the fact that Bruce Willis comes in is like, if everyone is so goddamn smart, how'd the movie make $650 million worldwide?
Dude, yeah, there's a lot of, it's so funny how much of the dialogue is just thrown in your face of like breaking that fourth wall of just like, what the hell, like you said, like they're using that bit and then they're talking about the gross numbers of a film all of a sudden. And it's just like, it's coming from Bruce Willis, but we're in a film right now, but also now it's a Bruce Willis biopic because we're talking about real things.
Yeah.
It's so great. And he's sitting there talking to Julia Roberts, who's not Julia Roberts.
Yeah.
And Matt Damon's somehow an unrecognizable person. It's dude, like you said, it shouldn't exist. You shouldn't be able to buy into that scene.
No.
But because it's done so well with these actors and they're so fucking talented that you buy in and you're like, dude, this, and when you buy into that, That scene is so much fun. It is such a fun ride to watch. All these people have these strong points of views, and you just tell everybody in the room has their own agenda, and it all works so perfect down to every little eye motion. And the people talking the people not talking are saying so much just by the way they're interacting with each other while the chaos is unfolding. Okay, Bruce Willis is in here. Dude, it is such an one of the most enjoyable scenes to watch, and I'm talking just in general. It's just truly enjoyable to watch.
No, I agree. I mean, a movie that is so about capturing that movie star energy.
Yeah.
Like, because it's so chock full of them. The fact that then literally makes it about movie stars is crazy. And it has my favorite reaction shot I've ever seen. Just when Matt Damon sees Bruce Willis for the first time, and just whoa, and he fucking jumps back. He's just holy shit, Bruce Willis is here. Once again, it's just they're all going for it. They're all they know exactly what the movie needs at that moment. And it's Matt Damon freaking out that wait, Bruce Willis is in the movie now? Holy fucking shit. This is crazy.
That is funny because my roommate, when he saw it too, he was like, holy shit, is that Bruce Willis? And it's literally the same reaction Matt Damon had.
Just whoa. It's just what the fuck is happening? What's going on in this movie?
Yeah, we're over here in Rome or whatever, Amsterdam, and Bruce Willis is in the fucking lobby.
This movie makes no goddamn sense, but the fact that it fucking works is insane.
It speaks to the brilliance of it, I'd say.
It really does. I guess we talk about the heist itself. I mean, the thing about the heist in this movie too is it's the same thing where it's just these are so fucking complicated. I barely know what's going on. The whole thing with them stealing the paper from the dude's house, or just how they concocted the whole plan to steal the egg in the first place. It's really fun, and then to know that in their back pocket they have that. Oh, none of this mattered.
I think. Go ahead. Sorry. Continue.
No, it's just I think it was just that's such a funny idea to just be yeah, we stole the egg 40 minutes into the movie.
Yeah,
we already got that shit on lockdown. It's fine. We got it.
And that's the thing that made something that's really interesting about this one. It's the first one is about the heist, and the characters kind of take a backseat, except of course for Danny Ocean, of course. With This one is the exact opposite. Like you just said, 40 minutes into the movie, they had already completed the heist. They don't ever really go over that many details. They don't really break down the plan in full proof. It kind of just unfolds in real time, and you're kind of just there left wondering well, did they pull it off? What even happened?
Yeah. There's not a ton of recon work they do. It's mostly just about these guys interacting and trying to figure out.
It's more about the characters than the heist. The characters take a front seat in this one, and the heist takes a back seat, and but it's still a heist film, and that's what I think is what makes it really incredible to me. Is it separates itself in a genre of there's really only one way to make a heist movie, but not one way. But this is it's a heist movie, but it doesn't even feel like one. It really. I didn't watch that and go, I just watched a heist movie. I'm just I just watched a great film. It doesn't feel like a heist movie, and I think that's one of the reasons it also has such a big impression on me. Is that seems so hard to do.
Yeah, for sure. And I love that the way they're able to steal it is because of the Yankees-Red Sox rivalry.
Of course.
Go Yanks! That's funny as shit. That's just what are they gonna expect big dumb Americans to fight over? Yankees and Red Sox. Okay, good. Let's do that. The fact that fucking. The way that happens is
that was the master plan. They're just fight like you're some Red Sox fans. We'll just do that.
It's just fucking Clooney puts down the Yankees hat right in front, and they kind of just fuck you.
Yeah.
They're just going. I love that shit. It's so fucking funny. Which we didn't talk about one of my other favorite parts of this movie in the train station where they're talking about how Connor and Affleck think the man is 48 years old or some shit like that. Just
he's I thought you were 55.
Yeah. It's you think I'm 53?
Yeah, he was like, what, 50,
Just
56? Like,
yeah.
he went older. He went older.
Yeah. I love the fucking Scott Conn is just like, the guy doesn't have enough going on in his life. You just gotta,
Take it in. And then he goes over to, oh God.
It's
When he's like, do I look 50? And he's like, yeah, the guy who plays the UK character. I keep losing his name.
Cheadle.
There it is. And he's like, do I look 50? He's like, yeah. Oh, yeah. He puts his, he's like, yeah.
Oh, for sure. And then of course we didn't talk about the fact that the Amazing Yen is in a bag for half the movie too. They fucking lose him in a soccer bag. Holy shit.
Yeah, when they pull up and they're like, so the bag's in Switzerland and we're in Paris.
Yeah.
And he's just in the bag, dude.
Just like, he's got air and water in there. It's not that bad. Like, Casey Affleck is just like, I don't give a shit. I'm not in there.
Oh man.
That's crazy.
That shit is...
It's a fucking funny ass movie, dude.
Dude,
It's really goddamn funny.
Oh, you broke me over here, man.
Man.
God, shit.
It's crazy. Like, this movie is so, like, they fucking take, like, 2 or 3 of the players at a time. Like, Bernie Mac isn't in this movie a ton.
He's really not in it that much at all.
No, he spends it in jail for most of the movie.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah. But back to, kind of the heist and everything and how it relates to it. Like, I love how, once again, the movie is just kind of, like, doing a commentary on heist movies or just, like, making movies or whatever in general. It's just, like, they got to make this big show for the audience, which is Lore and the Night Fox and everything like that. Like, and because they have to fool him into thinking they don't have the egg or whatever.
Mm.
And yeah, they're just, all of this is for nothing. They have the egg in the bag the whole time. They know they've already won. Like, the fact that the movie's just like, what do you mean what they're going to do? They're going to be Ocean's 11. They're going to steal the egg. It's going to be fine. Like, you guys saw the first movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got this. Don't worry about it. And I think it's that thing where it's just like, yeah, they were never going to be able to top the first one. That's not how this works. Like, they're going to just, like, steal the egg somehow.
Mm-hmm.
You can't think of, like, a better idea than, like, rob 3 casinos at the same time.
Yeah, it's hard to really up the ante on that.
Mm-hmm. For sure. But yeah, man, then we get that, like, final standoff between Tess, Danny, and the Night Fox.
Mm-hmm.
There's some good shit there, like, just because we love talking about the Con Affleck thing. I love how he's able to sneak by because those 2 of them are just, like, fighting outside the museum while they're supposed to be on lookout.
He's like, I'll give you $1 million if you don't speak for a whole month. I'll give you $1 million. Do not speak.
Yeah.
They're
up to their bullshit, man.
The dynamic between those 2 is unmatched. So funny, dude.
It's incredible.
I would love to see a spinoff of those 2 in a movie alone, man. Watch the Affleck-Con duo. Dude,
Well,
that would be hilarious. Putting those guys in some wild situations, seeing them do that shit.
Well, here's the thing. There wouldn't be a movie because they'd just be fighting in a room for 2 hours. That's all they do.
That's true. They literally don't do their job. They just fight.
Which, I'll watch that movie. That's fine. If you want to do a 2-man show, like, just oh hello it with just fucking Scott Conn and Casey Affleck just screaming at each other for 2 hours, I'm in. I'll pay top dollar. Like, the energy they have together is great. Yeah, they're so funny. But yeah, man, I mean, it's such a smart, fun movie, which in the same way that 11 is, where it's just like, it doesn't operate in the same way any other movie really does. Like we were saying before, like, I can't think of another movie that works like this. Like, where it's just like going one place to another, not really, like, nothing they do is really, like, matters at the end of the day, because like we said, like, they already have the egg and everything.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like free flowing, which is crazy to do with a heist movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's just like, it makes me super sad that people think of this movie in the way they do, because it's a secret masterpiece.
I agree. I had no clue. I had
Yeah.
no clue, man, what I was getting into.
Yeah. It's such a special, just like, they gave him money to make this movie. Not only that, they gave him a lot of money to make this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man. I don't know. Is there anything else we need to talk about before we wrap up?
I think we've touched pretty much all aspects. We went pretty much top to bottom. I mean, I feel it feels flushed out to me.
That's fair. I mean, I guess we should talk about Catherine Zeta-Jones meeting her father at the end, since that's a big running thread. Yeah, I mean, that's all pretty nice. Like I said, I love that Albert Finney's in the movie. I love that just, like, her character is set up just be like, she hates thieves because her father was one and not left her, but he was killed, like, in the line of thieving, I guess. And, yeah, I mean...
Hate to pick a bone when we've talked about how much we love this movie, but that was the one scene that felt a little undersold to me, was that her seeing her dad again. I didn't really feel that so much. I didn't really get that connection. Like, I mean, you know, I'm just being super picky here because we've only said love for 2 hours. So I'm just trying to find something that was like, if I had something bad to say, it was that scene right there. I still want to hear what you were going to say. I'm sorry I cut you off. That was the most undersold scene to me, I think, throughout. That didn't do anything for me when I saw that scene originally. I was like, okay, that was for some closure for her, but it didn't really land with me too well.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair. I think it's just nice to see, because, like, whenever they build up a character like that in a movie, like, just getting to see, like, who they got to do it is always fun. Like, and to see that it was, like, Finney who got to do it.
Okay.
Like, I'm down. I just like seeing Albert Finney in a movie.
That's fair.
And, you know, I think it just more ties in with just, like, what Catherine Zeta-Jones's arc is, I guess, just that, like, nah, these guys aren't so bad. They're fine. Like, whatever. Like, but yeah, it's fine. I mean, I love the final casinos. Well, not casino, but, like, them just, like, having a private party with a bunch of poker tables. Like, that's
them all showing up one at a time with their little. They all have their little entrance they do.
Yeah, I love fucking Pitt coming in. You're all under arrest. You're thieves. Like, I love that shit. Did you watch all the end credits?
I didn't. Why?
Did you see an introducing Tess as Julia Roberts?
No, I didn't. I didn't pay attention to that.
That's the last credit, is an introducing Tess as Julia Roberts.
That's incredible.
Right? It's a nice little touch.
I wish I would have stuck around for that. Because
well, dude,
I appreciate
you got it next time. It's all good.
Look, dude, I still got it. You ain't got it back. Even though I'm watching it on it's on Netflix now, 11 and 12, but I'm still repping the gang over here, you know? Here,
I mean, you got to.
We are a screenshot.
I mean, I miss them. I look over at my Blu-ray shelf every day and I'm just like, where is he? I need him back in my life.
They're in good hands here, don't you worry.
I believe it. But yeah, no, it's I mean, we've touched on it all. I mean, it's a very special movie. I think what it's saying about making movies, making a sequel is really fun. I think it's just all around a general, like, fun heist movie too. Like, it still has that same fun hangout vibe that the first one does, but in a completely different way.
Yeah.
The way it plays with just, like, the form of doing one of these kinds of movies is, like, really incredible. And the fact they got away with it is even more insane.
Yeah, more than got away with it. Excelled.
Yeah. And it's just a bummer because I like 13, and we'll talk about 13 when we do it next week. But, like, it's a shame to see that they listened to everyone complaining about 12, and we're just like, we're going to go back to Vegas. We're going to do this kind of the same thing we did last time. They're going to rob a casino, which is fine. Like, it's really fun. Like we said before, like, hanging out with this cast is always going to be a fun time, and I'm always going to be in. Mm-hmm. But, like, it lacks all the energy that these first two have, kind of.
Yeah, and that's, you know, you just kind of beat me to it, because that's exactly what I was going to say is, like, I'm actually kind of sad now that we're past this one, because I feel like I mean, I thought it was going to be really hard to top 11 because it was really good. And then 12, I mean, blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, man, I don't think 13's going to hold the same. Maybe I'm wrong, hopefully, but
I mean, like I said, it's still fun. It's still a lot of fun. There's still some really good stuff in there.
We'll find
Like some of the same kind of stuff are just like no one else could have done this kind of deal. But yeah, it's hard to make 3 movies like that in a row.
It's hard to make 2, so 3 seems impossible. I'm gonna watch it because Al Pacino's in it, and we're doing it next week, and I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's been sad. I've almost been mourning since. That's why I keep watching the second one again because I'm like, I don't want to move on yet. I want to be in there. Fair. I want to be here.
Yeah, it's a good cap to the trilogy, but it's just like like 11 has this like great classical feel to it. 12 is just like off the wall bonkers, and then 13 is just kind of like, we're going to play the hits, which, hey, I like hearing the hits. It's a good time, but, like, also, when you have 2 movies that are so spectacular, it's just, like, sad to see them go back to the same routine.
For sure. And that's what I'm saying. I would want the third one to push the limits of what the second one was, and I just can almost guarantee that they don't do that.
No, for sure.
We'll find out, though.
That's right. So, yeah, I think that's Ocean's 12. Anything else you got to say?
Nope. Like I said, I'm sad. That's it.
That's fair.
I'm sad, and I'm
mad is sad.
I'm gonna be playing this one back by myself for sure. This one meant a lot to me. I didn't know it was gonna mean so much, but it meant a lot to me.
That's good. I'm glad to hear it. So yeah, everybody, like, comment, subscribe. What did you guys think of Ocean's 12 if you watched it with us? Do you think it's better than the first one? Is it a little too different from the first one for your taste? Let us know down in the comments. And yeah, we'll be back next week with Ocean's 13. All right, thanks for watching, guys.
All right, have a good one, y'all.